I will simply read from my book, Verse and Worse. La Luce Trail Run. I ran the La Luce Trail 2 times. And in fact, the 2 times I ran the trail were the only times I ever went up the trail. The first time that I ran the La Luce Trail was in 1977 and was a result of a bet. I was working at the Inhalation Toxicology Research Institute, and some of my colleagues bet me I could not run the trail in under 2 hours. At the time, I was running 5 miles a day, 4 days a week, but I'd never done a trail run or a long distance run. We were talking about the upcoming run, and I made the comment that a person should be able to do it in 2 hours because, at least from what I understood, you could walk it in 4 hours. Open mouth, insert foot. The first time I ran the La Luce Trail, because I'd never been on the trail before, I actually got lost. Somewhere in the top 2 miles, the trail splits, and I took the wrong path for probably a quarter of a mile before realizing no one else was running on the path that I was on, so I actually had to double back. I also forgot to turn in my popsicle stick when I finished. I didn't know the procedure, and so I went instead to talk with some friends. They had actually seen me start the race and had driven up the backside of the Sandias to see me finish. They and I all agreed, having synchronized our watches at the bottom, that my time was 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 11 seconds, just under 2 hours. I officially placed 75th with a time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 2 seconds. But as I say, I didn't follow the exact procedures in turning in my stick, so my time was not correct. My certificate for placing 75th. Somewhere in all of my junk, I still have the paper number they pinned on my shirt for the run. The poem below was written after running the La Luce Trail for a second time in 1978. In that year, the number of runners quadrupled. Instead of starting the run at the beginning of the trail, which is actually 3 concrete steps, because of the number of the people, we started 1.5 miles down the road. Even with this start, we were grouped together so tightly that most of us had to run in place for a couple of minutes when we got to the steps. The Forest Service would not let you start the trail unless you came up the steps, and they were only about 8 feet wide. They still have the run today, but it is by invitational only or drawing, as there are many more runners than the trail can support. In 1978, I ran it in 1 hour, 55 minutes, 12 seconds, and placed 85th. This time I did not get lost, and I turned in my stick immediately. This is my certificate. In 1977, the first time I ran the La Luce Trail, I had no time to prepare. It was a result of a spur-of-the-moment bet the week before the run. In 78, I decided to train 2 weeks before the run. For those 2 weeks, I gave up smoking and drinking. Numerous times, for example, after mowing the lawn, etc., I went to the refrigerator to get a beer, only to realize I was in training, so I could not have one. I never once had that bad longing for a cigarette, and so I decided to quit. What was at the time a pack and a half a day habit. Through most of college, I was 2 packs a day. So I guess in some ways the race changed my life forever. I never smoked after that. Both years I ran the race, it was won by Al Walkie. In 1978, he ran a 57 minutes, 40 seconds. Al won the La Luce Trail 8 times, including 4 pardon me, in a row from 1977 to 1980. From 1981 to 85, Al Walkie won Pikes Peak Run 4 times in a row. In 1987, he won his 5th straight race up the Empire State Building. I was actually running with the best runners in the entire world. At that time, Al was the #1 runner in terms of running uphill or buildings, etc. This is the poem, and I will read it. Ode to the La Luz. On the east side of Albuquerque, out in New Mexico, there stands the rugged Sandia Mountains, the twisting Rio Grande below. And on their savage west slope there lies a trail not made for the frail, a runner's self-made hell, known as the La Luz Trail. Where every year in August, like they've done since '65, a handful of fools like Jules Marcoux stare upward to the skies. A 12% grade, 7.5 miles long, it seems like it climbs to the sky. And the air can get mighty thin with your head, 10,600 feet high. But you're here to run, you tell yourself, and you've trained just for this day. So one last casual glance to the top and then you're on your way. The distance wears on and time drags out and your body starts to wear down. And knowing you've only come 2 miles turns your confidence into a frown. Your muscles are trembling as you finally look back and you see the valley floor. You can't turn the panic. You can't turn back the panic that sets in knowing you've only done 4. You've lost your stride, the gleam in your eye, your jaunty, cocky style. And as it wears you into submission, you can almost feel the mountain smile. It has shattered all of your illusions of taking the world by storm. Your pride is gone as up you crawl, feeling like a worm. And then you've finally got 5 behind you and you feel like you've climbed to a star. And one thought grips your mind. The last 2.5 are the worst by far. But you drag yourself up the slope and along the twisted path till your nerves grow numb and your breath comes in rasping, painful grasps. But still you go on and on and on, knowing you don't dare stop. But you'd gladly sell your soul just to be at the top. Then somehow you've finally done it. And you know you own that hill. And in your pain-filled mind, a primal scream tells you you always will. Like Achapin, Ortega, and Walkie, you know you stood the test. Maybe you were running a little behind, but after all, you were running with the best. It's not just because it was there. It's been there a long, long time. It's because you were there that you had to make that climb. Someday you'll know why when you look back all twisted and old and gray. They can take your youth, your looks, and your health, but not your memories away.